my.
Okay.
So official.
Okay. It is, right? Okay. We're letting everyone in. See if I've set it up correctly. Okay, so Jody and Rihanna, can you girls just keep admitting people as they come through? Okay. Welcome, everybody. We just give everyone a few more minute or so to come in. Just say hello to Autumn.
Hi.
And we've got Jody down the bottom. For anyone who doesn't know, Jody is my assistant. And then over there we have Rihanna, who's one of our beautiful readers who always comes and helps us with these chats. And we're just finalizing admitting everybody.
You guys are all up top for me.
Oh, really? Can you see it? You can see everyone?
Yeah, well, yeah, you guys I can see up top, like tiny though.
Yeah. And then just on the screen, you can see the 4 videos.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I set it up right. We're good. Just a little bit of housekeeping for everybody. We are keeping everyone's videos off just so we've got the 4 videos on the screen so it's less distracting. Also, if everyone could stay mute. If you have any questions, there is a chat on the right-hand side where you can type your questions in. Jody and Rihanna will monitor that, and every now and then we'll pop across and ask questions that you've asked. We'll answer them. But first of all, I'd like to welcome Autumn Jones-Lake. Thank you so much for coming and chatting with us today, Autumn.
Oh, thank you so much for asking me. This is exciting. I don't think I've ever done anything like this, so.
Oh, cool. The last time we saw each other was, I think, 2017 at that NINC.
2019.
Oh, yeah, in Austin, 2019.
Designing, yeah.
That's right.
We did a lot of hangout time, though. I think 2017 was it.
Yeah, we did. I think in 2019 we got to meet your husband, and
we did, yeah.
We had dinner with you guys one night. Yeah,
I don't like to do signings without him because he likes to carry the boxes for me.
I like that you worded that he likes to carry them.
He does.
I know. I like it when Jody's husband's around for signings, although he's not really anymore, but he used to be, remember, Jody, and he used to help carry all my stuff, I remember. Okay, so for anyone who doesn't know Autumn, she is an MC author. She has the Lost Kings MC series, which has, I think, 23 books in it. Is this correct, Autumn?
I just released 23. Yep.
Yeah.
It's got some various other assorted related content too, but
all the novellas. Yeah, I saw that on your website. Her website, it's autumnjoneslake.com, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can go there and check out all of her MC books. And you've also written Rockstar Romance.
Yep, the Hollywood Demons series.
Yeah, and
it's
also
connected to Lost Kings, but I don't know if a lot of people realize that. So
right, how many books are in that series?
Just 3.
3. Yeah. I love how you say just, that's a lot.
Well, sometimes I say I have 23 books, and people are like, oh my god, I don't want to read that. So I have a small one, and I have some standalones.
Yeah. And do you have some paranormal romance too? I think I saw. Oh, sorry.
They're the first books I wrote and had with that were with the publisher and stuff. And they're very different from what I write and how I write now.
Yeah. Okay, great. So I had a quick look, a little skim through your Amazon site, and I loved what I was reading in your reviews. People were saying, oh my God, the banter between the guys is epic. Lots of great witty one-liners in a lot of reviews. You said that. You write alphas who are grumpy. I fucking love that. Lots of loyalty to each other, which is great. Found family. And then one lady summed it up in one sentence. For anyone who's not read Autumn yet, this is what you can expect. It's like Sons of Anarchy without the cheating.
Yeah. That was so important to me. Yes.
Yes. Same. I don't do cheating in my MC either, in any of my books. Yeah.
I always say I don't do traditional cheating. Once they're together, they don't go anywhere else. But if they don't get their shit together right away,
yeah,
maybe stuff happens. But
yeah,
there's no actual cheating.
That's normal. That's life, right?
Right? That's what I think.
Yeah. So I've covered everything. You got 23 books. Okay, so questions for you. Lots of questions. Thank you to all the readers who sent in questions for us, which is great. Autumn, what got you into publishing? Like, tell us a little bit about your journey to publishing.
I was an attorney before, and I really, really hated it. And I've always been writing, and even like my last year of law school, I was like filled with ideas. And I think I just didn't want to graduate and go into the real world, but I was writing a lot. And I don't know, like around 2010 or so, I was reading, and I was really into paranormal, and I wanted to write like an epic like vampire trilogy. And I was really set on like traditionally publishing it and everything. And then I got a little sidetracked, and I did the cat shifter thing. And then I just had this idea for slow burn, and I just knew it wasn't something a publisher would want.
Yeah.
So I was trying to learn more about like indie publishing and stuff. And I was like, I think I'm just going to throw that out, and like, I need to get it out of my system and everything. I'm just going to publish that myself, and then I'll go back to my vampire thing. And like, I've never gone back to the vampire.
Yeah. You just love MC so much. Yeah.
I really do. Like, I like that found family and like loyalty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thing a lot. And like you and I were talking about that this week, like MC readers are just like an especially like loyal like readers.
Yes.
That
yes. Yeah. And it is like family with our readers, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. So I like that a lot.
I love, one of the reasons that I was drawn to writing MC, because I was originally I was going to write a rock star romance. I started to write that first. I love the fact that with our heroes, literally anything goes. Like, there's no rules. These guys don't follow rules, so we can write whatever we want.
I don't do the cheating or like the rapey stuff, but like the murdering and stuff. The preemptive murder, like cool. I'm like, right.
The violence.
And anytime I've tried to write outside of that, when I have like my standalones where they're not in that world, and like one of them's actually a cop, and it was really hard for me because I was like, I just wanted to punch somebody.
Totally feel you. So what's your favorite part of the process, like the writing and publishing process? What do you love the most?
I do like the writing. I'm having a hard time like right now. I think I've been like in just like a weird place where I've been having a hard time, but I do like the writing process because I just like being in my own little head with my little like characters and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm in like a revision stage right now, and this is where I'm like, this is my favorite, because once like the bones are there and it's written, like I can go in and like add stuff and like make things better, and like, so I'm really into that. Today I'll tell you that's my favorite part.
So are you a plotter?
No. Every time I try, it's just a nightmare.
Yeah. So not any plotting, or just maybe a few things?
I know like I'll have like little goalposts I want to get to, like I'll usually know the beginning and the middle and the end, and then it's just kind of getting them to those points. Yeah. But like I was trying because I'm starting a new series, and I was trying to do some outlining and some plotting, and I was going through like the 3-act structure and all these things, and I was like, I hate this. I like have to know my characters really well and like know all about them, and then it informs like everything they do, and then I can do that. To do that 3-act structure stuff and all that, it feels like math, and I wasn't good at math, so I don't like it.
I don't like it either. Like, I've tried my earlier Storm books. I tried to follow that. I remember it was probably my 4th Storm book. I was like, I need to get some like structure going. And I used to draw diagrams of the 3-act structure, and I'd write like, this happens here. I'd plot it all out, and it just got me in a mess.
It did. And I know, so anytime I've tried to do that, when you have like the conflict and then the black moment and then just all that stuff, like anytime I do it, it just feels false. Yes. And I think those are the ones where I get like some like annoyance from readers about it. And I'm like, I'm just trying to follow what everyone else says I'm supposed to do.
Right. Yeah. Have you let that go now?
Yeah. With Lost Kings, I have like other stuff. I think I'm just trying to like learn it again. I'm like, maybe I'll try again. But I can already feel like we're starting to run away from me. I'm like, oh, oops.
Yeah. I think we probably just intuitively know where the stuff goes, but I'm the same as you. I actually need to know the characters, and then the rest will fall into place.
Because it just makes sense. I'm like, well, based on like this thing in his history or whatever, this is how I think, this is how he would approach this. Like it just makes sense to me. I don't know.
I think it just makes a really organic read compared to a formula that's forced.
Yeah. And that's how I feel. Like I feel sometimes when I read stuff, I can feel like if it feels forced to me, I'm just annoyed. I'm like, but that doesn't track with what they said they wanted like 2 chapters ago. Like
Jodie and I talk about the kitchen sink lately, books that have the kitchen sink with tropes and all this stuff. And I read a book recently where I did enjoy it. It wasn't like massive enjoyment, but I think probably because as a writer, I could see the kitchen sink slowly being put into the story. And I was like, but why? Why did you do that? Because it doesn't line up with anything else.
Yeah, I'm afraid. Yeah, I'm worried about it because I know like everything I think with TikTok's becoming very trope driven and people need to have like what it is. And I've never been like that good at figuring that out, that I'm like, I don't know. It's just a best friend's little sister.
Yes.
It's like touch her and you die. Like I'm out. That's all I got.
And you know what? That's all you need. Do you have a part that's the most difficult part in this whole writing and publishing process?
Yeah, the writing is hard. Like I can start like really strong and then I'll get stuck for like weeks, like in the middle, and no words are being like, no significant words are coming. And I get so upset about it. Or I just really hate the book. And my husband will always just say to me, he's like, you say this every time. This is your process. Trust the process. I'm like, no. I'm like, this is different. I really hate this book. I know, but you said that with the last one, and then you told me you just reread it and you loved it. So, okay.
I'm laughing because this is the exact conversation that Jodie and I have every book.
Like I feel like with the word counts, even I've been trying to track them more since like, I don't know, 2020 probably, or 2019. And if I go back and look, I'm like, oh, okay. So 8 weeks out, this is where I was when I was writing this book. This is normal. I will get it done because I'm time blind. I don't do time. So I just think things will happen by magic. And apparently they do. So
I wish, right? Oh my God, I love that. So you've written some paranormal earlier in your career. Do you think now ever about writing any other genre besides MC romance?
I'm like upset. Like I've just been reading like a lot of thrillers and mysteries and stuff. I love anyway, because reading romance sometimes is hard when you're writing it because it's like that constant comparison. And I was reading some domestic thrillers and stuff. And I'm like, and I think I told my editor this the other day. I'm like, I want to write a domestic thriller. And she was like, okay. Why don't you finish this? And then we can talk about that. Look, I'm sure you would nail it, but why don't we do this thing instead? I was like, okay.
I know. I'm actually like that whenever I like watch a show or read a book that I love, particularly though watching a show, I'm like at the moment I'm watching the Summer I Turned Pretty, and I'm like, oh my God, I need to write a YA. I love YA, right? Then I'll watch a thriller. Oh, I need to write a thriller. And I've even started plotting out things, taking notes, and I'm like, no, like seriously.
So many plotted, like I start like Scrivener files and I put like all this, like this is how I occupy myself after release, is something completely different that I'll probably publish in 2030.
I love that you do that after you finish release, because I do that while I'm writing. When I get to a hard bit, 3/4 of the way book, I'm like, I need to start planning other things now.
I do that too. I did that last summer. I remember like I was writing 21 and I was having a hard time with it because it was just very involved and like covered like areas several other books had covered. And I think I took like a couple of days where I was like plotting out this entirely new MC thing. And like, I was like, I just want to burn everything down and start from scratch. And my husband's like, what the fuck are you doing? Can you please finish this book first?
Honestly, Jodie, this feels like it could just be us having these conversations.
I'm so happy. It makes me feel so much better. I'm not the only one that does that.
Yeah. So just message me in future. I'll encourage you.
See, I would like that though, because I have all these things and then I let them slide and I'm like, I'm like, why can't I do 5 things at once? Like, I know other people do.
Yeah. Clones. We need clones.
Yeah.
What's your biggest dream as an author? Like, do you want to see your books in a movie, a TV show, in stores? Like, do you have those kinds of dreams?
I would love to see like a TV show, and my Hollywood Demons one, especially because it's set like in the 80s and it's a rock star thing, and it's just like, to me, it's like an epic story. And like I think it would like it lend itself interesting to like TV because like, you know, the 80s outfits and like the high drama of everything.
That's good.
What's that?
Sounds good.
Yeah, and it's MC related too, so like there's an MC family in that, so like I think it would be like fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I think every author wants to see their stuff on the big screen or small screen.
It's not something that I've ever really dreamt of, but sometimes when readers say to me they'd like to see King on the big screen, I'm like, oh yeah, look at Rihanna. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'd like to see his duet on the big screen.
Is he your favorite? Is he like, I remember when you were getting ready to release though, and like you were like so absorbed with him.
Mm-hmm. He's my favorite to write because he's my exact opposite. So I like, if I'm having a shitty day in the world, I'm like, if I could go write some King, he'll beat someone up, he'll kill someone. That person I couldn't kill in my road rage episode, King will kill them.
That's great.
Yeah, so I think the reason I love writing him is because, you know, sometimes when you go back to write a character who you wrote maybe like 5 years ago, you have to get back in their head. I never have to get back in King's head because he just lives there, because he's my opposite. So anything that I would be like, I'm not going to do this, well, fuck it, King would do that, right? So yeah, he's not my
favorite way to look at that. I love that.
He's not my favorite character, but he's my favorite to write.
Oh, I like that distinction.
Problem with writing him is for bonus scenes, I always want to write him fighting with Lily, which I'm sure readers don't want to read. Just ask Jodie, she'll tell you, she's made me delete scenes before that were arguments and fights between couples. And I'm like, but I loved writing that. And she's like, yeah, but no one fucking wants to read that. Like,
does that feel like you're undoing their HEA? I mean, people fight, like couples fight, that's normal.
Well, no, what it is, she's actually very smart with knowing when things need to go and when they need to stay. And she will point out, like, seriously, that wasn't the right moment for that. And I'm like, oh, you're right again. She just has a knack.
You know that it happens all the time though. Like, seriously, like it's been a few times, but they're like big deals. We can never forget them because like you love the scenes. I was like, not. And then you were like, I hate you. I love that.
See, but you listen, I'm the worst at listening. Like I very rarely cut things out. I've gotten a little better about it, but like I am like in love with all my darlings and cannot murder any of them.
Yeah, I understand that. There's definitely things that she sends me, like little things, like a word here or a sentence here, and I always go, thanks. Yeah, nah, right. But I think it's just
Right.
like,
Note to self, stop providing feedback.
we've been working together since 2015. So I think we're at that point where I trust what she says is like important, because she doesn't come to me with everything that she thinks could go. I'm pretty sure of that. So yeah.
Pick your battles, Jodie.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, because I think it's really important to remember that the story is like what the character choose and what she chooses. Like so I'm not trying to, when I'm reading, to try and like do beta reading. It's not my job to like shape the story. It's only my job to kind of like, with whatever the story is, just to like pick up like things. Whereas like I find I think people, when they leave their reviews, is like trying to like don't understand why the stories happen, and that's just not my job. Like, so I try and be really respectful of like the story that she's created.
Oh, that's nice. That is really good. A lot of people are not.
Yeah. Yeah. So I used to actually work with multiple beta readers. And they were all amazing in their own right, for sure. But, you know, I mean, I don't know how many you work with, Autumn, but I used to find when you've got like 10 readers trying to tell you all different things about what they think of a certain thing, it really gets in your head.
Yeah, I used to work with a lot more and I kind of whittled it down, but I'm really bad with getting things done on time. So like time pressure sometimes has kind of eliminated that for me sometimes.
Yeah.
But in a way, I think I have like a good handle on things. And to be honest, a lot of times, some of the feedback, some of it, like I have the beta reader, she's fantastic. But yeah, like those other outside things, I'm like, I'm not going to do that anyway. So
Yeah.
I did like a pretty extreme age gap recently, and I got a lot of pushback about that. And I was like, well, I wasn't going to do it any other way. So there's really no point in listen, like, you know what I mean? Like there's no, it is what it, that's who it is.
That's right. It's your story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So our readers sent some questions in. Amanda says, what was your dream goal when you started writing books, and have you succeeded with that goal?
I bet I had a bunch, but like a big one was to make a list. And so I think when I started, I didn't really have a handle on how hard that actually was.
You're right.
And,
Yeah.
I was a little naive about it. And then, so it took a while, it took like 5 years. So like, but when it finally happened, it was like really exciting.
I know. That's amazing. Yeah.
But yeah.
Mm.
But people still don't take me seriously though as a romance. Like you tell like people that are not in book world, like they ask like, oh, what do you write? I write romance. That like, would be anything I've heard of. I don't know. Do you read romance?
I always get, oh, like 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh yeah, that too. Yes, I've gotten that too. So
I'm like, well, sort of, but without all that other stuff. Like
it's always creepy when it's guys that say it, like,
oh,
you know, and I'm like,
I try not to tell any guy what I do. Like, ugh. I might just start saying I'm a publisher. I'm a publisher.
I have done that too, actually. Yeah, I did that recently. Like when we were looking for a house, I did, and I was like, I feel like that's just an easier thing to say.
That's a great idea. I'm saving that idea. So my goal when I started publishing was, I actually have to admit, I didn't even really understand about lists. I mean, obviously I've seen big authors in New York Times, but I didn't know how that worked. My goal was actually just to be able to afford a psychologist for my daughter. That was my goal with publishing. I mean, I'd always wanted to be a writer, so that was a dream, like to be a writer. But I mean, you can be a writer without publishing. So I'd always been a writer, but to publish, I had to push past that fear because I needed my kid to get psychological help and I couldn't afford it. So yeah, so I succeeded with that goal. What was the first book or author that you read? I'm not sure if Amanda means ever or in romance. Take your pick.
I was thinking that too. I'm like, Hansel and Gretel was my favorite when I was little. Like, I think I made my mother read it to me so many times. She finally like recorded it, or we did it together, like recorded it on tape because I'm old, so to speak. And so I could listen to it whenever I wanted. But yeah.
So my first romances I used to read were Danielle Steele. I think probably when I was maybe like 14 or so. My mum, I used to steal her books. Danielle Steele or Jackie Collins.
Oh, I love Jackie Collins. I used to get them from my grandmother, and she's like, I say to my mom, like, oh, there's like a little bit of sex. Is that okay? And my parents let me read whatever, but yeah, I feel like if they'd actually known what I was reading, my mom might have answered differently.
Right. Yeah. I had to hide the Jackie Collins books from my mum. Which character is your favorite in your books?
I can never answer that because I really love them all. Like, it depends. Like I've been doing this thing with like Swagger and Sass, and like, so I was rereading some of like Rooster's books. And I was like, Rooster and Shelby are my favorite, but tomorrow it'll change. So
I always find it's whoever I'm writing at the time.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
What's something you wish people understood about your writing? That's a tricky question.
I don't know, honestly. I don't know if I feel misunderstood. Maybe I am. I guess like I always said, like I like write for me, like I want to love what I write. So when I get a lot of outside things like, oh, I didn't like this or I didn't like that, I'm like, I did. So
That's so true. Yeah, I love that. Yeah,
yeah.
I write for me too.
I mean, I want my readers to like it too.
Yeah, there is, but I think so. I actually tried to write a book once for a publisher, and I got that, you know, Romancing the Beats, that book that tells you how to do that writing class.
Yes.
So because I've never been able to, like we said, never been able to follow a formula, but I was like, I'm going to follow this formula. I'm going to read this. It was in the Cocky World, you know, the Cocky World stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right. And so I was like, okay, I have to read one of their books. So I read one of their books and I was like, okay, so that's how they write. So then I will write like that using this formula. I plotted out the first book I've ever plotted out, and I wrote 20,000 words or something, and I sent it to Jodie. She was like, yeah, no.
I know that a lot of people love that book, and I will even recommend it because I know it's helped a lot of people, but like that book put me into like such a crisis and like a writing slump for like 6 months. Like I hear the name and I like
Right. So I'm in the exact same camp as you, because I had to, Jodie said that alpha that you wrote, here's a little sweet, like, and sweet is her no-go. Like if sweet is ever mentioned, Jodie's out. And I was like, but it was such a fun story. How can you not love him? Anyway, I couldn't fix him for the life of me. I couldn't fix him. And I spoke to TL Swan about it. She was having a crisis with a guy she was writing, and I was having my crisis. And I said to her, just do this, this, and this when you're writing, because she was writing a mafia dude or something. And I said, just do this when you write bad guys. Don't do all that other stuff. And then she said to me, yeah, so you just got to pretend with your billionaire that he's wearing leather when you write him. And I was like, that's it. That's how you do it. And yeah, so.
Yeah, like a biker in a boardroom, right? So just like take off the like biker outfit, put him in a suit in the boardroom. I remember reading that and I was so confused because I was like, I don't even feel like this is Nina Levine writing. Like, and then I was so stressed to say, like, I know you really love this book, but I don't get it. Like, I don't get, this is like not like your jam, your style.
Yeah, it wasn't. It really wasn't. And I think I liked the heroine I was writing, but the guy, I knew he was wrong, but I couldn't, because when you're in a formula, you're stuck, right?
Yeah. When you do those projects too, like in my head, like my reasoning sometimes is because I'm hoping to bring new readers into my series. And I'm like, if it's so vastly different from what you write, then it doesn't help you anyway, because they're going to get to your series and be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Okay, so we have a question from, I'm not sure if I'm saying the name correctly, Josella. Is that how you would say that, Autumn? Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
She says, I love your Loki series. Is that how you say it, Loki?
It's Lost Kings, but in the series, like they abbreviate it. So yeah, Loki, they'll say, yeah.
How did you think of Rock and Z? Both are great characters.
I don't know, like Rock just came to me like very loud and like very insistent and very clearly. And I was working on something completely different at the time. And it was just like, no, I have a better story for you. And yeah, and then everyone kind of just flowed from that. That's why like he's such a central figure in the series, and they have so many books. But like, and I said this a long time ago, like everything sort of revolves around him in some way. Like he and Hope are like the catalyst for everything. It's not that much that way anymore, but it definitely in the beginning was.
Yeah. So how do you find inspiration? Do they just come, or do you have to go searching?
Some of them just come to me, like they really just just for whatever reason, something I'm thinking about or whatever, they come to me. Other times I have to search a little bit, and I think Swagger and Sass was in like that, the motorcycle anthology. We were
Oh,
both
yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like that one, I knew I wanted to write something in that for it, but I just didn't know what. And we were actually in Austin and we were walking along like the river walk there. And that's where I was kind of coming up with Shelby and like Rooster and stuff, because I had to get that done. I can't remember if I was behind on, I probably was behind on the deadline because I always am. But that's where I started to like,
Yeah.
so I was kind of like, I need something for this thing.
Yeah. I love that name, Swagger and Sass.
I was like, I don't know if it's MC enough, but I like it.
Oh, I think it is. So Nancy has asked us about the narrators, members of the SAG, and have you experienced any delays so far in the preparation of upcoming audiobooks? My understanding is that they're still allowed to do audio narration. Is that in your understanding? I read that. I read that.
I don't know, because like mine are with a publisher and I have very little to do with it once I,
yeah.
so I don't really know.
Yeah. As far as I'm aware, my audio is still going through production for my latest release. And I did see posts from authors who are heavily following this strike that to reach out to the people, like the actors, for audio, because that is one thing that they can still do, I think.
Oh,
so, yeah.
I keep thinking about doing my standalones on my own because I don't think the publisher wants them, or doing some of the series, like the rest of the series on my own, because it takes them so long, you know, to come to you and buy them. But I thought about it and like, that's interesting. Maybe I will now.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you have to double check my information, but that's what I've read. So, yeah. So Erin has asked, if you were to start your series over from the start, would you have followed the same path with the characters and the storyline?
I don't know. It's weird because everything brought me to where I am, and I feel like it's good. Like I always say, like I don't think I've made, I mean, I guess like there's places I can look back and say it was probably a mistake, but I never think of anything as a mistake, more like a learning.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that I'd write so many books about the same couple or go back to like do the wedding books and that, which I do, but I just love them so much that like, I don't know.
Process, right?
Yeah, I think so. So, but I can definitely see like where that's not a great move for me, but
yeah,
I love them. And those are some of like my most loved books by readers. So I don't know, but yeah, if I did start over today, I would probably try and make it like a 6 series, like one book per couple kind of thing. Maybe right. I would, you know what, I would intend to do that. And then it would end up being something else.
Right. You got to follow your heart, I think. I honestly, I think that's the key for long-term sustainability as a writer, because if you're spending your whole time just writing like very to market in that way, like you'd have to burn out faster, I reckon.
I would think, like, I never want to like criticize anyone else's like writing process, whatever. I mean, whatever works for people is great. I can't do it. I've tried and it just doesn't work for me.
Yeah. Jody, is there any questions? Let's see how we've gone.
Yes, right. So we have some questions. Some of the comments are Autumn, that everyone loves that you both don't have cheating in your books. So that's really great, and they love that you continue to write MC. We spoke about that earlier. Rock is very popular, as it would seem. Sarah would like to know from both of you, how long does it take you to write a book?
It feels like forever.
Go first. I'll be back in 1 sec.
Oh no, where did she go?
She's deserted us.
Oh my God, what is she doing?
Maybe the dog, not sure, but does it feel like forever, but it's actually like a shorter time?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I have so many like half-started things in that. So like, cause I guess it makes me feel better. Like, oh, I'm already sort of done with that. I have 20,000 words on that. I'm great. It'll be so easy to finish. But I don't think I've ever written anything in less than like 3 months. And yeah. It's gotten a little, I want to say it's gotten a little better over time, like, because I guess I learned
So-
my trust my process.
So do you write multiple books at once then? Like if you have got like some like work in progress that already have say 20,000 words, like do you have multiples of them going at the same time?
I have done that in the past, and then that's where I get like stuck. So I've found like sometimes there's something that comes to me and I just have to write it. Like it's just so clear that I just like get everything. It's usually when I'm supposed to be doing something else and I'm behind, but I'll have to just like bang it out and just like get it all out on paper, you know, or whatever, type it all out. And I take some time to do that. And then I know, and then it's like my safety thing. I know it's there for me. I can do it later. But then there's a time where like I have to then just focus on one thing and one thing only, or I'm not going to meet my deadline. So then I get into that where it's one, like right now, if I pull Scrivener up, I have 3 files going, but at some point I'm going to have to like, 2 of them have to go.
For later, do you mean?
Yeah.
So when you say you write, it's like a 3-month process generally to write a book. Is that, do you write?
It's usually it can be longer. I don't think I've written one in less than 3 months.
Right.
It's usually more, probably like 6 to.
Do
It
you,
depends.
so you're not writing on that book every day then? You're not an everyday writer?
No, I do,
You
but
are?
sometimes it's a lot of days it's just staring at the book, like staring at it and rereading the same things and pecking at the same word and stuff. Like
It's frustrating, isn't it?
it's so frustrating.
Yeah. So because my process is, I think a lot of it, I have to do the input to get it, the brain thinking. Because you know how you said you can start off strong on a book? I'm the opposite. The first 20,000 words, I just want to die.
Yeah.
They come really slow. The middle can come slow too. And if it's like an enemies to lover or something, Jodie will tell you that transition from enemies to lovers, like when they suddenly stop hating each other and now they're good, that's really hard for me. Like to get it.
That is a tricky thing to write.
To get it exactly right. Like they can't just wake up and they're like, oh, now we love each other. You know, like they have to have that transition. Jodie, can you make a note? I should never write enemies to lover again. Like too hard.
Isn't it your absolute favorite behind Second Chance?
Yeah. And you know what? I don't think Second Chance is my favorite anymore. I think I've moved on.
Oh.
Rihanna's like, what?
Is enemies to lovers your new favorite that you can't write anymore?
I don't know. I'll probably keep writing it, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's one coming up in the Billionaire series. So
Yeah. So how long, Sarah wants to know as well from you how long it takes you to write a book roughly.
yeah. So it would take a few months, but the actual writing process, most of it, a lot of it for me is done in 3 weeks. But there's all that, like I might get the first 15, 20,000 over a few weeks. Then there's like a period of like you said, staring at the screen, thinking about it, trying to do other things in avoidance, like, but it's because the brain is processing, right? Like it's actually figuring out, because I'm not a plotter like you. I actually do plot a lot more these days, but there's always things that I don't know.
Yeah.
Fuck, I'm going to get them from here to here and make it realistic. And I just do that thing that I learned from someone where at nighttime I like, this is the question that you've got to think about while you're sleeping, or I'll put it in my brain in the morning. Let's think about this. And then I just let my brain do it. And that can take weeks, months. And then it's the deadline. If I don't have a deadline, there's no book ever going to be written. And
yes, all my best writing gets done right before the deadline.
yeah. And so that's those 3 weeks before the deadline when bam, I just have to get that book out. So yeah.
The other day, Autumn, I was talking to Nina on the phone and she was saying that she had to do some plotting for like some MC that she's for a book that she's writing right now, Nova and Riggs. And I asked her, like, oh my God, like is plotting like your most favorite thing? Because like basically it's like she gets to choose the adventure, right? From like and the opportunities are endless, like the whole world is her oyster. And she said, actually, I really love it, but it's like, oh, I'm so sad that I can only choose some of these things. It's like that they're going to die a sad, lonely death, like those ideas, because I can't put them into this book. Like, did I explain that correctly, Nina? Is that what you said to me?
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like that, Autumn, that you like want so many things to happen, but you can't, you have to choose between them?
Oh, absolutely. And it like, that's where I'll have like those other files. Like I have something I just call it like my idea file. So like, at least I'm a hoarder, I think. So like I do from ideas to like everything. And I'm high input too. So like, I think like, I love collecting information. So if I at least like, if I have it and I'm really sad I can't use it, if I go write it and I save it somewhere, then I can move on and I'm happy because I know it's there for me just in case I need it later.
Yeah.
Right. We have this thing and we used to call it a story garden. Like, go put this in the story garden, put this in the story garden. I don't know if Nina actually thinks we have a physical story garden in the drive, because I think we talk about these things and we say, put it in the story garden. I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news right now, but I don't think there's anything in our actual story garden. Like, so sad news. Maybe we should start our ideas file and call it something different.
I like story garden though, like idea garden. I think I'm going to change my file name to idea garden. I like that.
Right, it's really cool because it can grow or whatever. Ours are not growing because it doesn't exist.
So I actually have about 100 story gardens, Jody, on my computer because I am so bad at being organized. It depends. Am I in a month? Is my era the Scrivener era? Yes. So it currently gets all my story garden ideas. Last year, it was probably notebooks. All my notebooks have them. So fuck knows where they are because I can never remember where I've stored them.
I'm so glad about this because hashtag write this down. She's the assistant. Often I'll be like driving, like, can you write this down for me?
I actually, you know, in your notes on the phone, the notes app. So Jody started this thing last year. Write that down. Like, she's the assistant, but in our meetings, she's like, write that down. So I'm like, okay, I'll write that down. I opened up my notes app once and the note popped up and it said, Jody's period is due on the 7th of September. Because she told me when we were out drinking one night, can you write down when my next period's due so I know?
The mind boggles, right? Like the amount of excess information I share.
I'm going to be an assistant in my next life.
A what?
An assistant.
And she's very good at it, Autumn, and readers. So there is a question here that says, Autumn, are you going to write more on Viper and Juliet? She loved their story.
I love them too so much. I don't have any plans to now. Like they've been kind of elusive. Like there's been places where they probably should have like shown up and they haven't. So I can never like force these guys to do anything. But like the new series that I'm starting, like they should be there, but I don't know if I have like an actual like book for them planned. Like they have their pretty long book.
Yeah. Judy said, I think probably to both of you based on about the rule conversation we had a little bit earlier, and she said like toss out the so-called rules because she loves the way you guys write.
Oh, thank you.
And Heather said that knowing your characters lets the readers really know your characters, and she really loves that. And I absolutely agree. Like if you can tell if an author knows the characters right, because like they're obviously like consistent all the way through.
Particularly when it's a series where they have to keep popping up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The older I get, like the more I'm like, because I do want them to be consistent in certain things, but other things I'm like, we change and grow so much. Like I hope I'm a lot different at 40 whatever than I was at like 20 something. So like I also always hope I'm like kind of showing, and it's a slow process, at least for me, but I'm hoping that I'm showing like they're getting a little older, like they're growing up a little bit, whatever their issue might have been.
Yeah.
Amanda said that there is only 2 authors that she's reread their books, and it's you two. So you both rock and don't change your writing.
I love rereads. I always like, because for me, like there's only certain books like I've ever like reread or I like rereading, like comfort reads or something. So every time someone says that's not like I get really excited.
Yeah.
There's a question, Autumn, will Grinder and Serena get married?
They probably should, right? I'm sure they will. I don't know when, or I don't think I'll do a separate book for it, but yeah, they probably should.
Yeah.
It was like a plot point in the last book, like they were having their baby baptized, but they couldn't actually have the baptism because they weren't married.
Right. Another question, Autumn, is will you write more on the Devil Demons MC?
I had wanted to. I don't know right now. Like I want to write a book for his daughter, like Chaser's daughter, eventually. So that's kind of in my little map of things I want to do. But I don't have anything specifically for them. No, not right now.
Nina, Robin says King is the ultimate alpha, and which we have to all agree on that. Heather says, I want Nina to write some more Storm, and I think everyone in this room agrees.
It's coming.
Amanda said that the chats you sent out between all the Storm characters were so great, and they showed more insights into the characters, and King is the best. He makes you feel so loved.
How do you do that, Nina? I see you in your group, like when you post like I always want to do those bonus scene and things, but like I just can never. I'm always so in awe. I'm like, damn, Nina's good.
That came about in a weird way. I used to always write a short Christmas story for my readers for free, right? Like when I say story, like it was a chapter. And then at the end of 2020, which was the COVID year, I had no.
It never ended.
Yeah, I had no Christmas story written, and I couldn't find it in me to come up with one. And so I decided to write a group chat, like a text group chat between the characters, because like they're a lot easier to write. Like you don't have to do dialogue, like all that stuff. And so I wrote a Christmas. The girls were getting ready for Christmas because I used to always have the Storm Girls Christmas and stuff. And so I sent that out as a gift to readers, and they loved it that much and I actually loved writing it that much that I was like, oh, I'm going to write another one, right? And then it just went from there. And then 2021, it was the year where I was like, I'm going to consistency, I think was my word that I chose for 2021. And I was like, okay, I want to write one a week and put it in my email. And I think I missed maybe 2 or 3 or 4 weeks of the whole year when I was on a deadline or something. But every week I sent out that thing. I'm
impressed.
But the funny thing is, like, after writing about 50 of them, because I then went and wrote some for my Patreons and all this stuff, you run out of ideas, right? So I've actually got an idea of some author somewhere. She signs up for, those websites that have weird random facts about humans that are like that type of thing. She said you sign up for all these different things, and you get like daily emails with weird random facts. And then the ones that jump out to her, I could write something with that scenario or that theme, or she saves those in a story garden file. And you know what, Jodie? I was just thinking the other day, I started a story garden file and I don't know where for this chats.
Right. Whenever like funny things happen, we're like, oh my gosh, that should go in a chat. And then like no one is hashtag write it down. And then
I actually get enough ideas. I have so many ideas just from my family and friends this year. But literally my memory is so bad that I can think, oh, that'd be a great chat. I'll write that today. And half an hour later, I've already forgotten what the idea was. So
yeah.
I used to
do the notes thing on my phone too, but then I've lost stuff.
I think it might be where I started that story garden chat on my phone. I used to get a lot of ideas from my Pilates girls. So I'd go to Pilates every day and the same girls would be there and they'll be like, what are you writing? And I'd be like, writing this, and then they'd start talking, and then I'd go, oh, could add that, so life. I just used to get ideas from life.
Every day? That's really good. Yeah.
So
I asked Nina this question the other day, and it was like, she has like a couple of things in her stories that really stood out to me. One is like hiking, because it's the billionaire like group like code for like having sex, right? So the code word is hiking. And then in Wilder, the code word is like sandwiches, like they're gonna make sandwiches, and so like that stuff is like really super insanely fun, and I'm always like looking forward to see like what comes next. And I asked Nina if like she kind of plans this, like does she think of some random funny thing and then like somehow weaves it through the books, but she said that this kind of it just comes to her as she's writing and it's not planned. So I was wondering if that sort of things happen with your characters, or like in your ideas, do you have this would be a really good quirk so I'm going to include it, or does it sort of come as you get to know the characters?
For me or for Nina?
Yeah, for you.
Oh, sometimes it depends. Like, yeah, it'll sometimes like this would be kind of funny, or if they did this, or it just comes up organically. It really depends on the character.
Yeah. Mm.
They're really super fun things. There's a question here, Nina. Will you write more on Jet and Presley and Luke and Callie?
I would love to. I really do want to write Jet's book. That was always going to be the second book in that Rockstar series. Because he's the fucked up guy in the band. So what fun, that's Rockstar fun, right? So
He's the one everybody wants.
Right. And over the last 6 months, he has been coming to me with ideas, and I'm like, you just gotta be quiet, honey. Like, just sit in the corner and wait your time. But I would really love to write him. I don't think I'll ever write the other two guys in the band because they were not super strong characters in my head. In fact, I can't even remember anything about them right now. But I would love to write Van. It's Van. Did I say Jet? I meant Van.
Yeah, you said Jet. Yeah, Van. Yeah.
That's the main guy. And obviously Jet and Presley would show up in Van's book, so that'd be fun. Luke and Callie, I always did intend to write
Avery.
Yeah, Avery and Tyler, and then Paris, I think, was his sister. And I really would love to. And I actually have ideas for Paris. She came up to me recently to feature in the Billionaire series, like to bring that across. I don't know, because, I actually have that book that I plan to write in 2020. Was it 2022 that I told you about that book I was writing?
Yes.
So that book is supposed to be the next book after this Billionaire series. But then the other day appeared in my story garden, next series, the Montgomerys. And I was like, who the fuck are the Montgomerys? Right.
I have wide eyes over here. Like, WTF is going on over in that tower, girlfriends?
Who knows, Jodie? Who knows? Too many ideas. I mean, because I've also got the Stone Ops. I've got Priest. I've got Kane and Alice. I've got 20-something thousand words on their book already done. I'm doing an Autumn Jones Lake. That's a verb now, doing an Autumn Jones Lake. Yes. I don't know. Can you just start writing, Jodie? Take one for the team. I'll send you the ideas. You could get it down.
I feel like
I thought you guys were going to co-write at one time.
We were. So Jodie, I was doing the writing and Jodie was doing the planning. There's just never enough time, is there, Jodes?
Yeah, there's never enough time. And also, like, I'm not creative in that type of way. Like, I'm creative in like planning our holidays and where we'll go and what we should do, but I'm not creative. Like, I have heaps of book ideas and we talk all the time. A thing that we often do when we travel is we lay in bed and we like write a book out loud, like what should her name, what should his name be, and then what do they do, and like we plan like whole books. And so it's not that I don't have ideas, it's just like that's not my strength. So I don't think like we'll ever write together, but I do tell her all my thoughts and all my ideas, and I would like for her to input them into her brain and write me books of my dreams, which she's very good at doing already.
She guys are like such the perfect team.
She wants a love triangle. Have you ever written a love triangle, Autumn?
I did, yeah.
Is it hard?
It was really hard. And
tell me they were brothers, Autumn.
They were what? No, oh my God, that'd be amazing.
Fail. That's a fail in Jodie's eyes. They have to be brothers.
Like, I would love brothers, best friends, like something like angst AF, like just bring it on. Like, I'm working on this all the time, and a few years ago, she like posted on my wall and she's like, I've got a playlist. These are the guys I'm thinking for our love triangle, like hashtag like love triangle. And I was like, where the fuck is that girlfriend? Like that was years ago. And like, I don't even think she uses that Pinterest board or playlist. So disappointment.
I think
Let's do another one.
do you use Pinterest and Spotify for inspiration?
Do I? Yeah, I do. I don't use them as much as I used to. I've been trying, not so successfully, but to limit some social media because I feel like it's actually like leeching the brains out of, like leeching the ideas out of me.
Yeah.
So, but every now and then I like tootle over to Pinterest or I keep my playlist on Spotify too.
I like making a Pinterest board for a new book that's still in the idea phase is like literally my favorite thing.
Yeah.
So if you ever look at my Pinterest, there's a lot that are private, but the ones that are public, there's stuff on there that for books that I'll never write, but the ideas are ready to go.
I think it's weird because I haven't opened some of them up and then I've gotten like weird like things like people think like, because anything to whatever it might mean to me, like whatever the picture is, like it's hard to translate. So I've had people look at them and be like, oh my God, something like awful is going to happen. I'm like, no, it's not. Where did you get that idea from?
Yeah. It's so true, right? It's perspective. Yeah. Is there any more questions, Jode?
Autumn, will we get a book on steer in the future? Yes. Did you
steer? Maybe. I want to expand down in Tennessee and like Virginia and that. So like it's possible. I don't know. I don't like him, so I don't know if I want to write something.
Fair enough. What time of the day do you do your best writing? Amanda asks.
Mine is early.
Is it?
Like generally, unless I'm on deadline and then any time goes. But if I can get writing before I've looked on social media, email or the websites, any net stuff, then that's the best time. So it could literally be 1 p.m. so long as I've not put anything in my brain before that time. Once there's something in my brain, like it's got something to latch onto so I can be writing. And then when it gets hard, instead of sticking with it and focus, my brain's like, oh, but let's now think about that thing we read about this morning on Facebook. And then
I need to be better disciplined about that. Yeah. Like I've noticed that any little thing and just like kind of like bring your energy into like a bad place. But I usually write best like in the middle of the night. I would like to do it early in the morning. Like that's a kind of usually my goal, but I'm not always as productive. But sometimes in the middle of the night, I'm just like,
oh man, I used to write years ago, I used to write during the night, but my eyes, I'm out now. I can't write after about 3 o'clock. It's except deadline. Like then I can write 24/7, which amazes me that it's funny when you have to do something, you just do it, right? But generally
each time I do it though, like it's now as I'm getting older, like every time I do that cycle, like it takes me so much longer to recover from it. Like I'm just toast for like weeks where I'm just nothing's happening.
I've been working with Becca Syme to change.
I love her.
Yeah, same. I've been working with her to change that part of my process, and I'm really fucking proud of myself that for my last release, I didn't have to do a 24/7 deadline.
Nice. Is it, yes, she working? Is it, she's working for you?
Yeah, I've been with her for a year, just over a year now. And yeah, we are slowly, I don't learn things fast.
I don't either.
And so my goal on the next book is to be finished weeks before the deadline rather than, I think this time,
that's the holy grail.
I think this time I was finished maybe a week before or something. But next time I'm going for 2 or 3 weeks prior. Yeah.
That'd be so nice.
It would, wouldn't it?
Amanda would like to know how you choose the names of your characters.
Google.
I have baby name sites and that.
So Jody gave me a baby name book and I haven't told her yet, but it's like weird names, Jody.
Sad face.
Like really weird names. I think you tried to buy like a really modern one, didn't you?
I think so. I think it was just like the top one for like that year or something.
I don't think it was.
Oh, okay. That's fine. then.
I think
I think I had, did I send it straight to you from Amazon? Yeah,
Yeah,
so
you
I
sent it
probably
straight
haven't
from
seen
Amazon.
it.
So that's why I never told you, but because I'm just grateful that you sent it to me. I really have to dig hard through it to find a name that's not fucking weird.
I have those character cheat sheets though in the drive with lots of names. So get onto that.
You know, there's actually a character of mine called Havoc. Years ago when I was developing Havoc, it was for a anthology. So I originally wrote the first part of it for an anthology, and the guy's name was going to be Justice. And it was going to be, the title was going to be called Destined Justice or something like that. And then another MC author who was a friend, she contacted me and she said, actually, no, she didn't contact me. I must have seen one of her social media posts that she'd done a cover reveal, like, I don't know, a week before I chose the name or made the name public. And she just revealed a cover with a character called Justice. And or, do you remember back in the day in like 2014 times when that was a really big no-no? Like,
Jesus Christ, yeah.
yeah, like basically you didn't use the same name of any other MC author's character, which is really hard these days, like so many, right? And I love that that doesn't seem to be such a thing anymore, but I felt like I was going to be sick. I was like, oh my God, she's going to think, because she was a friend of mine, she's going to think I stole that name from her. So I changed it and I called another friend, and she got on some site. It was a dog naming site, and Havoc was on the dog naming site. So Havoc came from a dog name. It's a
Oh,
great
that's
name.
cute.
Yeah.
I think I had one recently and someone had like said like, oh, you picked that name because someone else's book was so popular or whatever. And I was like, fuck you, that guy's been in my book since like literally 2014. Like, he's just now getting his book, but like he's been named that in my series for like 8 years now, so bite me.
Yeah.
I had a character called Kick, who another author, MC author, had a character called Kick, and I was like, and I was a bit concerned, but I was like, you know what, he's been named in those books prior, so I can't change his name now.
Yeah, I've never looked at other people in our subgenre to like look for inspiration or names from. Like I either like Googled it or like
Yeah.
baby name sites. I like
You can Google things like asshole male names, right? Or
right, yes, I have done that too.
normally I don't. I normally do like strong, powerful names, and then you get weird names as well, or you get fantasy names. Yeah.
It's weird because MC is like, people expect them to have like these power names and like alpha names. And I think in like real MC culture, it doesn't usually happen like that. They can have some like names that sound pretty not, yeah, like pretty bad. And
they
so that's more
after a joke or something, right?
Yeah, it's usually, or sometimes it's derogatory. So, and now they're stuck with this forever, but like, that's not fun or heroic to write about.
Right, exactly.
And I've read a bunch of MC books.
Questions
period.
here, but do you have any?
Yeah, there's
Me?
more reader questions, but let's go through these ones.
Okay. What was your hardest scene you've ever written?
I mean, some of the darker violent stuff, it actually comes fast to me, but then I always have to go back and layer in more dark imagery, right? Because, you could just write the mechanics of a violent scene, like he punched him, he did this, whatever, he cut his hand off, Jodie's favorite thing for characters to do. But like to actually get that feeling of darkness, you have to layer in imagery, and trying to come up with new ways of saying it after writing that many MC books can be a bit tricky. Also, I'm at the point after having written so many sex scenes that like, oh my God, man, so yeah, anything that's deeply emotional, like death, like that's obviously to get that written well is hard.
For me, it's like kids or like, and I've written a couple now where like the characters were pregnant or whatever, and like I don't have kids and I've never wanted children, and I don't know a lot about them necessarily.
Yeah.
And I don't want to. So that's the least interesting thing for me to like research or really write about. Like the first time it was kind of fun or interesting. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm glad I didn't do that because that sounds horrible. But now I'm like, oh.
Well, you know what, Autumn? I just saw one of your reviews for what I presume is your last book about maybe a single mum, or is there a book?
She's a sister that was raising her younger sister.
So in the review, the reader said literally that the scenes with that, does she have a daughter, like the mother and daughter, maybe?
Oh, well, two of my characters have daughters. They have.
So whichever book it was, I'm sorry, I can't remember which book it was, but she actually,
obviously I can't either.
She actually said that these scenes between the mother and child, she was in tears every single time, and they really like resonated deeply with her. So you're doing a great job.
Oh, I love that. That's me.
Yeah.
Before for your MC books, did you get in contact with any motorcycle clubs to ensure the wording was similar?
I actually didn't. I called upon someone that I knew from a club, but mostly I just researched myself. Yeah,
I think I have like a bunch of nonfiction books on my shelf, that I had read, and there's a couple of really good like podcasts and YouTube.
Yeah.
And that, but as far as like, I want to write a romantic fantasy version of it. I don't really need like the
yes.
And I think I had gone to a signing once where there were MC guys there and we could ask them like questions and get information from them. That was pretty fun because they were delightful.
Yeah.
So and it was very different. And like, I think I've like used stuff in books and like, they were just fun and like, I don't want to say silly because that's not the right word, but just fun and having a good time and stuff. And I think some readers have like a rigid idea of like what MC guys should and should not do. And I'm like, I mean, they're people. So
yeah.
So
like, honestly, I've met some of these guys through this guy I used to know, and you wouldn't want to meet them.
No,
you wouldn't want to.
Autumn, what is the hardest Lost Kings couple to write?
I gotta think about what my couples were in. Grinder and Serena were really hard because their age gap was so big, and he had just gotten out of prison and he had been there for a while, and like a lot of the research I was doing, like there's a lot of issues that would come up with like, I think someone being released after being incarcerated that long. And obviously it's like a romantic fantasy, it's a romantic story, but I also still wanted to be realistic and not be disrespectful to someone that was coming from that situation. But that was like where I leaned on the brotherhood to kind of help him, readjust to society and everything. But the age gap was tough, but I also had a little bit of fun with it. Like, not only is he a lot older, but he's been incarcerated. So like, there's a lot of like technology stuff that was just so weird for him, and she's like really into like, she does like a YouTube channel and stuff, so to have her kind of explain and like show him these things was like, it was actually kind of fun, but it was hard. And then
that does sound like fun.
It was kind of,
yeah,
it's gotten much better now.
Nina,
he's very grumpy though, so.
Nina, Heather would like to know what happened to Stone Ops.
They're coming. They're still coming.
Still coming.
Yeah. So like the stuff I'm writing now sort of leads into it.
Ooh, I like that.
Same. So exciting. Judy says, Autumn, we need to know what is happening in the basement. Sparky, Stash, and Willow.
I joke about like, I want to write that really bad. I'm like, I think that's how I'll end the series. Like, we'll end with that because it'll probably piss people off. I have thoughts for that. I think they're like a little bit down the road, but I definitely have thoughts for them.
I love that. Yes, because someone else said that they need to know about Sparky and Willow and Stash. So there's a few people that can't wait to read about the basement dwellers.
Oh, good. It's weird. It's one of the things I have like a couple of scenes written that are in my little story garden place that I'm like, I'm sure they'll change by the time I get there because so many things will have changed, but I go back to them every now and then. I'm like, I do have to write their story because this is great. I love this.
It sounds fun. Nina, the last question that I can see in the chat is, well, it's not a question, it's a statement from Heather, and I'm all about this. Kick is great, although he doesn't get much attention. I loved Kick. Why, thank you, Heather. I absolutely agree.
Oh my gosh, poor Kick. Thank you, Heather.
That's pretty much it from the questions that I can see from the chat. Rihanna, have I missed any that you've seen?
I think Rihanna has some questions though.
Did you get the one? Do you have any downtime process from your book?
I do. And I've actually, so it used to be for me, I would finish a book after a massive, awful, exhausting deadline. And then I would be completely wiped. And it sometimes used to take me a month or more to write again. But I've actually learned through all this coaching I've been doing with Becca and therapy stuff, I've really learned to listen to my body every day, like every minute of every day, and listen to like what my energy needs are, like what I need for that fuel. So now I'm actually at the point where, like, if I'm struggling with something with writing, if it lasts for longer than an hour, I turn it off and I go and, like, I might sleep, I might nap, I might watch TV, and I try and get that downtime every day. So I've sort of become very intentional now with that downtime. So Autumn, I'm high in input too. So I've really learned, like, I used to beat myself up if I'm like watching a TV show, binge watching a TV show whilst trying to write a book, right? And now Becca's helped me understand, no, your brain needs that. It needs that input to keep it, what is your bucket? Keep your bucket filled, right?
Yeah, I need to do that more. Like I try every now, it always feels like too self-indulgent.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
But like I have to remember, like, writing isn't like going to fix like a leaky pipe. Like it's not like, my husband always reminds me of this. Like he's like, you're literally creating things out of thin air. Like,
right,
you know,
it didn't exist before. Yeah,
you're not changing brake pads or like doing something, like you're creating something out of nothing.
yeah, and you have to fuel that creativity somehow, right? And I think so, you know, when people work a 9-to-5 job, like they have designated times that they know, 5 p.m. I'm off, right? And then all night I can rest, weekend I can do whatever I want. Like, but I don't know if you're probably like me, it's a 24/7 gig. Not that we work 24/7, but it doesn't switch off. So I've had to learn to get good at switching it off.
Yeah, I have not gotten there yet. And I was taking like a class with like, actually it was a friend of mine that I worked with like years ago, who's now doing like that kind of coaching and like a lot of the, you know, end your day at a certain thing. I can't like do that. Like I ended like when my husband comes home, because he works very long hours. So like that small window we have is like kind of, you know, very important to me. So I have those 2 hours or whatever, but then I'll go right back to doing stuff because I can't like sit still and just not be like doing
So are you high in achiever as well, that strength?
No, all of my strength, I have my top 5 and they're all thinking strength. I'm like, they're the non-useful strengths.
But no, they are. I'm the same. Top 5 is thinking. But so, you know, what's funny, I've learned, I used to try and be like, okay, so I'll have a routine. So I'll only work between these hours and then these other hours are, and then I would be sitting there at night going, I just really want to go and make a teaser, or I just really want to go and, so what I've actually come to understand for me is that some days I am going to work 12 hours and then other days I'm only going to work 5. And I'm just going to play it by ear as to what I need in that day. And that seems to be working for me.
That's good. I like that idea. I have ADHD too. So like the high input, all that stuff. So I'm like, all of these things, I'm like, I should just be happy I get anything done really. It's been so nice now. I'm just trying to make like actually going outside and like touching grass and sitting in the sunshine like a priority. So I'm like,
Yes, so good, isn't it?
it is, yeah.
Rihanna, did you have some questions?
I won't take too much time, but I had one while y'all were talking because Nina, you have King as your opposite, he lives in your head, like you said. Do you have a character that sits with you like that, Autumn, in the same sense? Like obviously Nina can jump into King at any time because he lives there constantly. Do you have somebody that's similar like that?
I probably used to be Rock, and I feel like he's done with me now. Like book 21 had some Rock and Hope in it, and like they were a little difficult, and I think they were just both like, leave me the fuck alone now. No.
They're ready to run off into the sunset and be left alone.
I mean, they have a child, like they're very happy. They have their basement sex room, like they're good.
They're good to go. You've kind of answered the other ones that I have, which is great because other folks were, asking questions. But do you have a specific space that you draw your inspiration from, or do they just kind of flow into your brain?
For me?
Yes. I guess Nina can answer as well.
Like a space where...
Sorry, what was the question? I was reading the other questions. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Where you draw inspiration from, like, because I know when we like briefly have talked, like with Shell last week, I'm not even on this time zone today. But like sometimes there are people in your life that'll come through or whatever, and you'll draw from that. It's not obviously them in particular, but something about them has like been like, oh, I can do something with this, that kind of thing.
Sorry, Autumn, keep going. Oh, I can go if you're not ready.
No, I mean, I try not to. I don't think anybody I know in real life. I'm trying to think. I don't think so.
So Scarlett in Wilder literally is pretty much my kid in a way. Like obviously not the things that have happened to Scarlett, but her response to people, like that people annoy the fuck out of her, her snarkiness, anything like that. Like I'm like, that's just Eliane. Like Eliane is zero, like low tolerance for bullshit. So that's her. And then there's also in Cult, the side character Lilith, who was Echo's best friend. She also is a bit like this. And so there's a scene in that book where she's, I don't know if you remember, but she's like bent over of the fridge looking at Echo's mum's nasty stuff that she keeps in the fridge, the moisturizers and the kombucha, like the scobies. And I said to Eliane, what would you say right now? And so some of that dialogue that Lilith presented with was inspired from my kid. Also,
stuff my husband then, like there's definitely stuff he says that like I go, give me a sec, let me go write that down.
Yes.
Or things that he'll tell me like he did at work. I'm like, some of the things he'll say to I'm like, please tell me you didn't actually say that. He's like, fuck yeah, I did.
Yeah.
They need to learn. I'm like, oh my God.
No, I don't base characters fully on anyone. I've never done that, but I've definitely pulled bits and pieces of their personality into a character.
I kind of wonder if that makes them, like, for us as readers, if that's what kind of also like makes them more real in a way.
Yeah.
Because like those are things that like you would hear somebody say, even if like you're like, whoa. Yeah.
There's actually in Bradford's book, it's so funny. When I read Bradford's book, I can actually at certain points when certain things are being said in dialogue, I had this laugh out loud because I'm like, oh, I wrote that on this exact day when Jodie was going through this, right? Because like there's a part where Kristen says, meeting denied. If Bradford asked me for a meeting, I would say meeting denied. And Jodie had that experience in her life that particular day. And I was like, that's a great saying. Let me just write that down.
I wish we could do more meeting denied in life. Like when someone comes up Like the school was calling me about my kid last year, and I was like, meeting denied, meeting denied. Like, I feel like there should be a stamp, like it's a no from me.
Yeah. Yeah. I just saw a question on here from Patty McMillan. She said, what is the best compliment you have ever received that wasn't just a great review? And I can answer while you think about this because I already know.
That one's on my list.
I know, I prepped you for that one. For me, two things. Number one was Patty actually got the Storm logo tattooed on her shoulder, I think it was. And Patty, that is probably the greatest compliment when I've had people tattoo that logo on themselves. But also Patty shared a story in our Storm Girls Strong group about how she was out to dinner with her husband one night, and she must have had like a singlet on or something, or a tank. And so the man at the next table could see the logo on her, and she got something about Storm Girls written on there. I can't quite remember. And he said, what's a Storm Girl? And Patty's husband answered him. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love this man. I love that. I don't know. That was the greatest compliment, Patty. But the other greatest compliment is when I wrote War of Hearts, and it had PTSD in that, and it was drawn from my own experience. And at the end of the book, I wrote a note, like basically it took me 20 years to work to get help on my PTSD. And I think I just encourage people, like if you have recognized this in yourself, maybe you could seek help, because I found it helpful. And the lady actually did email me on the day of release. She'd read the book and she said something awful had happened to her, I think 30 years ago. And she had been inspired to go and find someone to help her work through that. And I said to Jodie, I said, you know what, if we never sell another book of War of Hearts, it doesn't matter, because that's why we write books. Yeah. So that's everything.
That would be anytime like I get like something like that, or someone tells me that a book like helped them get through like something that was really difficult, like a loved one being sick, or they were sick, or their child, anything like that, like that's just,
yeah,
it's a huge compliment. Like it's a huge thing. And like I have a hard time because I don't always know what to say, because it's overwhelming. And it like thank you doesn't seem like enough, or like, you know what I mean? Like it's,
I totally,
but those mean a lot. And like I guess sometimes like my dad used to like ask me like if I was going to go back to being a lawyer, like my real thing. And I was like, I don't feel like I really helped a lot of people then. Like no one ever said like I helped them get through a hard time. And it's hard because like the law is an adversarial process anyway, so people don't usually like their lawyer no matter what. But I think I had like 2 clients that ever like actually thanked me, or I think I really, helped. And like I tell them like, Dad, I've had people tell me like, this or that, and like those are like, oh, I think I'm just doing something more meaningful this way. Like I'm helping people. I know it may seem silly to you, but it is really, I think it's helped people get through some horrible times or rough times. And like, that's important to me. So
yeah, totally 100.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no
There
more.
was just one more question. Sorry, Nina. Someone just asked a second ago if Loco will get a book. Will Loco get his own book? And someone commented and said, yes, he's a great character, would love that. And Lou said he must have a great backstory. Do you have plan to write Loco's book?
I don't have any plan for him. Like I like him as like, I like him a lot. He's fun, but I don't have plans to like dive into his whole world. I won't say never though. Like, I mean, he may become chatty one day and I'll structure something around him. I don't know. Actually, I should now, because I always am fascinated by like my hero, but then how other people around the hero see him. Like I had like early on, like when I wrote Rock and Hope had their first 3 books, and then the next book kind of went over some of their same stuff. It was Raph's book, because I enjoyed like how his best friend actually saw him and like how much like he annoyed him too, like that. So I enjoy seeing my heroes from other people's perspective. So actually Loco might be fun, like to see what he thinks about rock and that. So that might be kind of fun actually.
I love that.
Oh, buddy.
Okay, well, we've kept you for a long time, Autumn. Thank you so much.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, it's been great talking with you. Rihanna and Jody, thank you for coming along and helping us.
Thank you guys.
And to all the readers who came, like, thank you so much for coming and asking questions. And Autumn, you have a free book for your series starter, don't you?
I do. I have 3 actually, but Slow Burn is the first one. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you girls haven't read Autumn yet, go and pick up that book. It's on all retailers, I think. Is this correct?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And her website is autumnjoneslake.com if you want to go and read more. I sometimes find it so much easier to understand a series order on the author's website than on Amazon.
That might actually be updated. Like we were saying, I don't think my front page is updated, but the
Yeah, I'm
series
pretty
order
sure all your books were there.
might be.
Yeah, I saw that list. So I don't know who we're going to be chatting with next month. I haven't organized that yet, but I'm going to go through the list that you girls put of all the MC authors that you're into in my group, and we'll pick someone from there. And as soon as I know the date and who it is, I will let you all know. So yeah, we'll let you all go, but thank you everyone for coming, and huge thanks, Autumn, for coming along.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.